The 6 military takeovers of West Africa's government since 2020 have been supported by the region's declining popular support for democracy. The local populace has frequently welcomed the coups in Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea, and Niger, even though elected presidents have occasionally been forcefully removed. Although the public may favor democracy, they also want their governments to respond to their justifiable complaints. In West Africa, democratically elected administrations have not performed well for their constituents and have even helped a few officials amass wealth through unethical behavior. Now, Russia is in the picture. Russian operations across West Africa have led to an unprecedented rise in popular support for Russia, citizen demands for Russian interventions, and in some cases, new military partnerships between African countries and Russia. In today's video, we will see how Russia is using Burkina Faso for its anti-Western agenda. We will also see how the US has been responding to coup leaders and uprisings from Russia. In the heart of Burkina Faso's capital, Ouagadougou, a poster advertising free Russian language courses has been attached to the large, iconic model of a globe on a road intersection that locals refer to as the United Nations Roundabout. In the 1980s, the Soviet Union maintained diplomatic missions and cultural institutes throughout Africa, including one in Burkina Faso. 30 years have passed since Russia departed huge portions of Africa at the dissolution of the Soviet Union, but there are indications that it may be making a comeback in Burkina Faso, where Russian flags fly in the streets and pro-Russian graffiti adorns the buildings. Things have changed in Burkina Faso, and people are beginning to feel it. Following the coup that deposed the elected president, Roch-Marc Christian Cabore, Russian flags started to show up during anti-French demonstrations. Moscow is seen as a friend in Ouagadougou, at a time when Vladimir Putin, who has been re-elected for a 5th term as leader of Russia, is no longer welcome in many parts of the world, following the invasion of Ukraine. Russia's cultural center, the Russian House, and organizations like the African Initiative, which bills itself as an association of Burkinabe and Russians, whose aim is to strengthen friendship and mutual understanding, peace, and harmony between the peoples of Burkina Faso and Russia, are working to improve Russia's reputation in the country. Since a major Russia-Africa conference took place in St. Petersburg at the end of July 2023, this charm offensive, which started in early 2022, has gathered a lot of momentum. President Vladimir Putin of Russia committed to assisting Burkina Faso during that conference, and on January 26 of this year, he dutifully fulfilled that pledge by officially donating 25,000 tons of wheat. People in Burkina Faso are tired of French politics, which is why Russia is popular there now. It was apparent to the Russians that France had handled its turn with Africa badly and has reached a nation that is currently going through a divorce from France. Russia is gaining crucial diplomatic clout in Burkina Faso by shifting its position in regions that have historically been Western bastions. The best part is that it can accomplish this for a lower cost. Burkina Faso's main grievance against the former colonizer, like that of Mali and Niger, 2 neighboring countries with military regimes, is that it hasn't been able to stop armed groups in the Sahel from posing a threat since 2013. France has been arming the Sahel nations with troops stationed in Mali since 2013, in Niger since 2014, and with special forces headquartered in Ouagadougou since 2009. Despite this, armed groups continue to be strong, and in January 2023, demonstrations demanding the withdrawal of the French soldiers and its ambassador took place in Ouagadougou, adorned with Russian flags and pictures of Vladimir Putin. Russia is attempting to fill the gap that the French left. Burkina Faso, which sought Moscow's assistance in combating armed groups, has bolstered its military collaboration with Russia under the direction of Captain Ibrahim Traore, who assumed power in September 2022 in a second coup. The first batch of Russian soldiers arrived in Burkina Faso's capital city in November 2023. A few months later, another group of roughly 100 Russian military advisors arrived. The indications of a change in influence from France to Russia have been more noticeable since then. Large French-owned businesses such as the telecom giant Orange and the brewer Burkina still have a presence in Ouagadougou. Burkina Faso is evolving into a post-Prigozhin Russian laboratory, with the Russian state as the main actor. While immediate security needs take precedence over general democratic values, citizens rejoice in the renewed prospect of long overdue and much-needed change. What is less logical, though, is the continued backing of coup leaders, even though economic and security conditions deteriorate under military rule, and the way that this backing encourages more acceptance of Russia's destabilizing activities in the area. Burkina Faso serves as an example. The nation overthrew its 27-year autocratic regime in 2014. Since then, Burkina Faso has advanced democratically and undergone political reforms. Reporters refer to the nation as one of Africa's success stories regarding freedom of the press. Then in 2022, the security situation proved too difficult for Burkina Faso's democratic institutions to handle, and the country experienced 2 coups in 9 months. The coups followed protests demanding democratically elected President Kabore's resignation and holding him accountable for the country's deteriorating security. Traore, who is the second and current post-coup leader, has suspended the country's constitution and implemented a transitional charter, which cannot be revised without his approval. Russia's disinformation campaign in Burkina Faso builds off the legitimate fears and frustrations of the Burkina population while reaffirming their concerns. Disinformation manipulates discontent, blaming France for Burkina Faso's challenges, presenting Russia as a savior, and embracing authoritarian leaders like Traore, who stand ready to partner with Russia. Russian agents pose as Africans with a sincere interest in Burkina Faso on social media by using fake accounts. These accounts play on common frustrations and place blame on France's military failures and the West more broadly. They exalt Russian President Vladimir Putin, exaggerate the Wagner Group's accomplishments, and push for deeper ties between Russia and Burkina Faso. To create and validate messaging, Russia has, nevertheless, over time enlisted local African political figures and influencers, giving campaigns greater legitimacy and resonance with the community. Russian agents have created more phony news outlets to disseminate false material, pose as someone else, or purchase authentic accounts to guarantee that information favorable to Russia is disseminated. As the Burkina-Russian partnership moves from rhetoric to reality, as evidenced by the recent reopening of the Russian embassy in Burkina Faso, the arrival of Russian military personnel, and Russian-sponsored plans to build a nuclear power plant, more citizens of Burkina Faso are supporting Russia, which is becoming increasingly important for Russia and the coup leaders. Leaders like Traore are strengthened by Russian influence because it gives coup leaders legitimacy in regions where the United States and the West are unwilling to work with local leadership. Rather, Russia is the one that gives coup leaders financial support, military backing, and even personal safety. This does not mean to suggest that the US should support leaders such as Traore politically or materially, but it does highlight a basic issue. The US response to coup leaders cannot be simply silence and sullenness. A reaction like this puts Traore and the populace in the hands of Russia, diverting the nation from its democratic path and plunging it into security and humanitarian crises that endanger the whole region. Even though Russian tactics may exaggerate public complaints, the Russian collaboration does not give priority to Burkina civilians or effectively address the country's deteriorating security situation. Russia's main objectives are resource extraction, military force projection, and influence expansion throughout the region. It is unable or unwilling to deal with the root causes of Burkina Faso's economic instability and hardship. Assum the United States is to resist Russia's pernicious influence spreading throughout Africa, including Burkina Faso. Then, through development initiatives, the United States should concentrate on these common goals and values with Africans: democracy, human rights, and the capacity and will to assist communities in resolving the underlying causes of violence and instability. After all, disinformation spreads because citizens are dissatisfied. U.S. policy needs to prioritize people and address the underlying issues. An approach like this gains from long-term collaborations between the U.S. and local communities. Increased and sustained funding for social service development and civil society groups is necessary for success in raising the chances, resilience, and general well-being of the populace across the nation. Given the critical role that transparent and accurate information plays in the operation of democracies, increased support for independent media ought to be a top priority in terms of foreign policy. In the short run, the U.S. can aid local media by providing political backing and assisting them in creating fact-checking services to counter misinformation. Building capacity and ensuring economic security, legitimacy, and empowerment are essential for the long-term support of local media. Public diplomacy initiatives that promote democratic values and strengthen the capacity of local media may fall under this category. The complicated geopolitical environment in Africa is exemplified by the circumstances in Burkina Faso. Although Russia aims to use Western resentment as a springboard for influence, this tactic may or may not work. While Russia may undoubtedly see Burkina Faso as a pawn in its anti-Western chess game, the situation is far more nuanced. Whether Russia can effectively address Burkina Faso's security problems is still up for debate, and their presence could make matters worse. It will take some time to see whether Russia's risk in Burkina Faso pays off or if it backfires and causes more instability in the area. However, Burkinabés have put their trust in Ibrahim Traore and believe he is going to make the right decisions for them. In your opinion, what are Russia's goals in Africa? What are African expectations of this relationship? And what will be the United States' answer to Russian influence in Africa? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the New Tourist channel. Turn on notifications too so you get notified whenever we upload videos like this. Thanks for watching and see you in our next video.